Hey, it's your girl, Michelle Pierre, the voice of Espresso Unicorn. I know we've been gone for a little bit on a hiatus, but we're back and we're in full effect. And we have a wonderful guest for our Black Voices podcast today. And we have Mr. Lawrence A. Smith. Lawrence, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Of course. And so Lawrence is the owner of Czar Photography. So, without delaying it anymore, why don't you tell us about, maybe your background as it relates to work, your family and hobbies?
Okay, well, I'm retired military. I retired from the Army in 97. I graduated from the University of Maryland with a degree in business. But one of my hobbies while I was in college was photography. And that's really where all this started. I kept doing photography while I was in the military. Then I retired in 97. I went to work for state, and then later went to work for the federal government. I retired from the federal government in 2010. And I started the business in 2012 after volunteering and teaching youth here in Pennsylvania. I've been working with youth for ever since 2010, actually. So I still work with youth. My work, I taught photography to kids. I volunteer my time with children. And that grew more and more over the years. I started getting asked to do more things. And finally, I do what I do now, which is fashion. Fashion was never what I really wanted to do, but that's what it evolved into. So I've been doing fashion full time, probably the last 8 or 9 years. I continue to teach, and it's just what I love to do.
Okay. No, that's awesome. And what I want to do is kind of go back to your start. And so 77, huh?
Yes.
You joined the military. Wow.
Yes.
And so what it seems like, because then you went from the military to the federal government to teaching, it sounds like you've had a life of service. Why was that your path in life?
It starts from my childhood, actually. I grew up in the civil rights era. So my mom was very active in the social civil rights and got us, my sister and I involved in community activism. So that really is where it started. I've always had a sense of giving back, paying it forward, as some people say, and pouring in the lives of others, because so many poured into my life to help make me who I am today. So that's just continued over the years, and throughout the years in the military and even in the federal government, I still gave back. I still volunteered for different organizations, and I'm doing that to this day. Because I would like to leave a legacy of service, because our lives are supposed to make a difference, and we're supposed to have purpose. That's something I firmly believe in.
Life is supposed to make a difference and have purpose. I think there's a lot of young people and frankly, to be frankly honest, a lot of older people who need to hear that. But thank you. So what I want to kind of pull the onion back on is, you said photography was a hobby of yours.
Yes.
So from a hobby to a main job, how did you know that this was your niche? Like, what really got you into photography?
Like I said, it started in college. My best friend actually introduced me to photography. And continued through the years. But once I retired, my kids kept telling me, you're good at this, is what you really like doing. And they're both accountants. And so they had both finished school, and I needed a tax write-off, to be honest with you.
All right.
But I firmly believe in giving back and teaching. I firmly believe in that. I just found a way to get paid to do it. And that's really how it came about.
A lot of people nowadays, especially as you think about positive psychology and just self-care and all of these other different things that, buzzwords and terms that we talk about in our society, a lot of people are very focused on finding a hobby that you can get paid for, right? So a side hustle that can be your main hustle, right? And it's something that you love that kind of gives you that sense of purpose, right? And it allows you to wake up every day and be excited, because at the end of the day, most people don't end up in careers like that, right? They
Absolutely.
end up in,
That's true. That is true.
They end up
Very
in a career that, you know, sometimes it physically makes them sick to get up and go. And I just commend you for, you know, for finding this place where it seems like you're thriving in, and then you're loving on people in the process.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So,
Made my day.
So what about people who want to get into the photography business? What kind of advice would you give them?
I would tell them to shoot, keep shooting.
Okay.
That's the only way you're going to get better. That's the only way you're going to find your eye. And shoot the things that you love. I really love nature. I love shooting people. I kind of say I shoot people's personalities. However, like I said, I do fashion pays the bills, but it's something that I've learned to love. So I'm telling anybody, no matter what your passion is, no matter what it is you want to do, but in particular, since we're talking about photography, find something that you love to do, take pictures of. It could be your children. I'm actually mentoring a photographer right now who loves doing baby pictures and maternity pictures. That's where her love and passion is, so I've encouraged her to do that, and we've talked about different cameras. That's a whole different aspect. But the key thing is finding something that you love and loving what you do. You're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna take bad photographs. That's just gonna happen. You just have to get up and keep going.
So something that I want to hit on, you know, we're in this society of instant gratification. So what I just heard you say was keep shooting. Not that you're going to be a photography phenom, right, overnight. So
Right.
It sounds like this takes some dedication and some focus to become good, right? To become what people need you to be, because at the end of the day, we're capturing moments as it relates
Exactly.
to photography.
Exactly.
So what would you tell a young person, you know, just in that space where, you know, everything comes so fast? How do you keep them motivated to keep doing photography when in the beginning you don't get paid that much either?
That's true, and it's tough. That's tough. But I tell them, like anything, there are no overnight successes. There just aren't. No matter how successful we see a person become, whether they're a celebrity or someone that we know, there's work that goes into that. There's work behind the scenes. There's work that builds up to that level where you're at. And you're always learning. This is photography is something like golf. You never really master it. You can become good, but there's always something new to learn. And having said all of that, a person has to have dedication. You have to have perseverance. You have to have the ability to overcome failure. And if you fall, then you got to get up and try again. And you also have to ask questions. One of the best things I can tell a young person trying photography, ask questions. Find someone that's taking pictures that you like to take or something similar and ask them questions. You'll find that most of us are willing to give you this. There's not really secrets, but tips to help you. And you may find something that just opens your eyes to something totally different. Like I said, that's how I wound up in fashion. I never thought that that's where my niche would be, but that is where it is right now. Yeah. And that came about by talking to Louis McKinney, was my mentor as far as photography. And Louis is way older than I am, and I'm old. But Louis taught me so much about different angles and just looking at things differently. One of the things I would teach kids when I take them out in photography is I'll take them out to an open field, or even a parking lot, and I tell them to take a picture. Naturally, they're starting to look around, trying to figure out what to shoot. One day it was raining, it had just rained. So I just walked them over to a puddle and had them shoot a passing airplane through the reflection. Yeah. And the eyes just lit up. I also took them to a bush. All they could see was just a bush, but inside that bush was flowers, insects, interesting branches. So look beyond what you see in general and really look into something. Look at your subject.
Wow. I think that's a life lesson too. Right? The last piece, I guess, within this space that you're talking about and kind of hinting to is training, right? Ensuring that you're educating yourself, and then you get a mentor. Can you kind of hit on that a little bit? Because having been in academia for a little bit, sometimes young people don't realize how important it is to stay in class, to keep growing, to keep learning, and then to have someone with a little bit more experience to bounce questions and ideas off of.
That's right. That is crucial. I think it's crucial whether it's photography, business, education, your career in the military, for instance. You've got to find that person, male or female, doesn't matter, but someone who can guide you. And not just guide you, but when you need to be admonished, because sometimes we have to be, or corrected, that you're open to them telling you and guiding you in a different direction if need be. Yeah. Going back to the fashion, like I said, I was so stuck on doing people and nature. And it took my daughters to tell me, hey, you're good at this. And then Lewis sat me down one day and talked to me. He said, what do you see when you shoot? I said, I see people. He said, what is about the people? And I see personalities. He said, what's so different from fashion? You see in clothes. This personality in clothes. This personality in the designers and the models. So you're still capturing personalities, you're still capturing people. And then he encouraged me, because at first, like you said, you don't make a whole lot of money. You just don't. You have to get clients. You have to advertise sometimes. You have to get your name out there. It was kind of discouraging for a while. And Lewis kept telling me, keep shooting. He said, keep shooting. He said, the worst photograph that you can take is one that you did not take. So you got to keep applying it. So if you're in school, business, whatever you're doing, if you're got a gardening business, you have to keep doing what you do and keep learning. And then ask those questions. And if you got a good mentor, they'll know to give you answers or guide you without you even asking. And you have to be open to criticism. You just have to be.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to be led and taught.
All right. Someone needed to hear that out there. So, if you need to rewind this, listen to it again, but you need to be willing to be led and taught. That means you got to humble yourself.
Yes.
To actually learn.
Yes.
Okay. So, you also talked about volunteer work. So are you doing volunteer work right now? Are you sitting on boards? Kind of what do you do with the little bit of time that you have that's free?
I still volunteer. One of the things one of the organizations I partnered with this year was Saddle Up Harrisonburg, which is Robert Sneed is the guy's name. He's a black horse. He trains horses. He has a farm, and he's one of the few people of color in this area that does this. He teaches equestrian riding. It's a working farm. He's got all types. He's got quarter horses, thoroughbreds. I don't understand all of them, but he has all these horses.
Right.
But I volunteered, had the very first camp this year, 2-week camp for kids from the inner city. And they weren't all inner city, but it was primarily for them. And it was for kids of color. They accepted everyone, but it was primarily for kids of color. And it was not just to teach them how to ride, but how to teach them about the equestrian business. One was being a farrier. Farriers, if you don't know, are blacksmiths. They can typically make, in a bad year, 6 figures. You're talking 100,000, which that was new to me. I didn't know that. But in a good year, if they're good at what they do, they can make $300,000 to $500,000 a year.
Blacksmith?
Yes.
Wow.
So that was an example. So they had been about a veterinarian, a farrier. So they learned different things, aspects about equestrian. They learned about farms, how a farm runs. They learned about cowboys. A lot of people, they'll see cowboys, they see this white image on TV.
Absolutely.
But actually, the first cowboys are black. So that was an eye-opener for these kids.
Buffalo soldiers.
That's right. And the word cowboy itself was a word used for black horsemen, as they were called, but they were just called cowboys because they didn't want to call them men. but I digress. Anyway, so that was a success. I'm so happy that because now he has a legacy that he can build on. I have something that I can build on and I can teach other photographers about doing this kind of work. And it doesn't have to be photography, but the idea that you volunteer to do something. I just got selected to sit on the board of, it's called the David Dynamic. And what this is, it's a charitable organization that they develop and train individuals in artistic areas such as vocal, artistry, sound engineering, music writers, composers. Leonard Casson, who's with Motown for many, many years, he's retired now, but he actually lives here. And we became friends. For many years we've been friends, but he's had this idea for a long, long time. And he called me up one day and said, I know you're ripping and running all the time, but I got something I want to run past you. He was talking about legacy building, his legacy. And he wanted to be a part of his board. And he told me about this. It actually sent chills up my spine because I was just talking with Robert Sneed, who I just mentioned, about what he was doing. So this fell into my lap. So that's something I'm going to be working on. We're starting working this the next couple of weeks. I'm excited about that. That's faith-based, but you don't have necessarily be a Christian to be a part of this. They want to identify young people, and again, primarily of color. But it's not restricted, but that's really their focus, children of color.
Yeah, oh man. Both of those sound amazing. And I'll tell you, Espresso Unicorn is definitely interested in the horse ranch and, helping to support, inner city kids to come out and learn some of those skills. So we would definitely love to collab with you and okay. the farm. So please let us know. Okay?
I sure will.
All right. So, folks, as I told you, this was going to be a phenomenal interview, and Lawrence has not made us eat our words. So, thank you so much. But before we get out of here, and you've already given us so many nuggets, and I hate to ask again, but or at least ask in this vein. What would you tell a young person, woman or man that's listening to this, and specifically, because as it relates to this podcast, this is Black Voices, and we're trying to influence, Black people to just see their authentic self and grow in that space and be comfortable in that space and become what they were meant to be. So what would you leave that young man or that young woman about just whatever, right? The things that you've learned in life, just some nuggets to kind of take away of how to be successful and how to have joy in this life that sometimes it's hard to find.
Okay. Number one, I would say, love yourself. I think it starts there. Love yourself, no matter what your circumstances may be. Don't be afraid to challenge and question where you're going in life, what you want to do. Mm-hmm. Be willing to learn, be open to learning, be open to criticism, because not everything's going to be going our way. Definitely find a mentor. No matter what it is you want to do, find a mentor, someone to guide you. If you really want something, focus on it. Focus on it to the point where you talk it up and bring it into being.
Yeah.
Don't be deterred, because you're going to fall. You're going to fail. Everybody does. That's going to happen. It's what you do when you fail, when you fall. Do you get up and keep moving, or do you just lay there? Don't be afraid to chase your dream. If you have a dream or vision, no matter what it is, no matter how outlandish it may seem to others, pursue it. What I will say, when you pursue it, write down your vision, write down a plan, give yourself some milestones where you want to be in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, or whatever, and work towards that goal. And then one thing you're going to learn is that everybody's going to be along for your journey or your ride. So as you do this, be careful about sharing, because not everybody's going to be in your corner. Some people are not going to make that journey with you. That's just part of life.
Yes.
If I don't leave you with anything else, I would just say this: find your passion, find your dream, your vision, and work towards that. Work towards it. Don't be deterred. Don't be scared of failure. And don't let anybody tell you what you cannot do or become.
All right.
And pour into the lives of others, because I believe in making a difference where our lives are supposed to have purpose and meaning. And we're supposed to make a difference in someone's life.
Yes.
I know that's all I can say.
Good. Yeah, a positive difference, positive impact. No, thank you for those nuggets. And I want to make sure too that that you let people know how to get in touch with you if they would like to learn from you, have your services in, some kind of way. So if you could let them know how to do that, that'd be great.
Okay, hold on a second.
Okay, yeah, no problem. And also, folks, we'll make sure that this is on the Instagram site as well, where you have Mr. Lawrence's information, but I definitely wanted him to convey it to verbally. So the floor is yours.
Okay, you can reach me at an email. It's a long email, but it's one word: thezarphotography@live.com. I'm on Instagram, and it's _CZAR_photography. I'm also on Facebook as Zar Photography. You can also find me on Facebook as Lawrence Smith.
All right. Well, awesome. So as promised, we did it, and we're not going anywhere. We're going to keep this podcast going of Black voices, and you'll hear other great people just like Mr. Lawrence, who's out there as a common man doing uncommon things. So we hope that you'll tune in for our next podcast, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, you're welcome. If I could add one last thing, I want to ask your viewers to follow Espresso Unicorn, because they're doing great things. We need this voice. We need more voices like this. So unless we support these kinds of voices, we can't complain. So we got to support our own. And I love what you're doing. This is a great thing that you're doing, a great vision. I'm just proud that you allowed me to be a part of that.
Oh, don't make me cry out here. But thank you so much for the support, and we'll definitely keep in contact and make sure that we're following your journey as well, because we have to help each other, right? We have to grip hands and keep moving forward. So thank you.
Yes,
okay.
Sir. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Espresso Unicorn, Michelle Pierre, we are out of here. Y'all take care and have a wonderful week.